Ready to step off the map from the most hidden alleyways to the stories nobody told you? Uncharted Alleyways begins now. Your definitive guide and travel podcast, culture, adventure, and the world as you've never heard it. Tune in, disconnect from the obvious, and come explore with us. Uncharted Alleyways, your next trip starts here.
If you stand outside Buckingham Palace on a Tuesday in July, you are just going to be surrounded by thousands of people.
Oh, absolutely. It's a complete sea of selfie sticks.
Yeah, exactly. You hear a dozen different languages, and you just feel this sheer, overwhelming crush of global tourism.
Right. It's intense.
But I mean, here's the secret that most of those people just don't know. The actual heartbeat of London isn't happening behind those gold-tipped gates.
No, not at all.
It's happening like 3 miles away in a basement bakery.
Right.
Or maybe an antique stall, or just a quiet neighborhood pub.
Yeah, and usually when we think about experiencing a world-famous city, there's this expectation that it's sort of like reading a textbook.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. You check off the major monuments, the giant statues, the royal residences, and you feel like you've read the whole story.
You feel like you've done London.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is designed to pull you out of that textbook. We are exploring the second part of a really fantastic travel script from a source called Uncharted Alleyways. Now, the first part gave us the, postcard-ready version of London.
The shiny version.
Right. But today, our mission is to examine how a massive metropolis operates on a local, much more granular level.
Yeah.
We are looking past those bold headings to read the scribbles in the margins, basically. The neighborhoods, the local markets, the daily rhythms of the people who actually call this city home.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because you really can't understand the mechanics of any city without understanding how it wakes up and, probably more importantly, how it feeds its population.
Mm-hmm. Food is always the starting point.
Always. So we are starting our morning at Borough Market, which is right near London Bridge. And I have to say, the sensory details here in the source are just incredible.
Oh, they really are.
Like, long before you actually see the wrought iron roof of the market, you hit this invisible wall of scent.
Yeah, it just hits you blocks away.
Yeah. Exactly. You have this fresh sourdough baking in stone ovens, and then the intense bitterness of coffee beans being ground.
And the roasting meats, too.
Yes, the rich, heavy smoke of roasting meats. It physically pulls you in before you even realize where you're going.
What's fascinating here is how the physical space of that market explains the economic evolution of the city itself.
Oh, totally.
Because Borough Market isn't just, a quaint place to grab a pastry. It has actually existed in some form for 1,000 years.
1,000 years. That's just wild to think about.
Right. And originally, it was positioned near the only bridge into London, which made it this really gritty, chaotic wholesale hub for farmers bringing in bulk produce.
Right, like wagons of cabbages and stuff.
Exactly. But as London shifted from a manufacturing and shipping economy to this modern service-based financial capital, the market morphed right along with it.
Yeah.
It transitioned from selling wholesale sacks of potatoes to offering artisanal truffles, aged cheddars, and, high-end street food.
It really is a perfect mirror of modern urban consumerism.
It completely is.
And you see that in the crowd, too. I mean, you have Michelin-starred chefs in their pristine whites, meticulously inspecting, organic vegetables, standing right next to bleary-eyed office workers who are just trying to grab a quick, flat white before their commute.
Just surviving the morning.
Yeah, exactly. It acts as the city's kitchen. And once you've grabbed that coffee, the natural flow of the city pulls you out to what I would call its living room, which is the South Bank.
Yes, the living room. That's a great way to put it.
You walk off breakfast, you cross over the river, and suddenly you're on this wide concrete promenade right beside the River Thames.
With that striking, heavy, brutalist architecture looming over you.
The National Theatre.
Right. The National Theatre on one side and then just the open water on the other. It's quite a contrast.
It really is. And the area is just filled with street musicians, skateboarders, artists displaying their work along the river wall. And the overarching advice from our source for a traveler here is to just walk without an agenda.
Which sounds easy.
Well, I have to push back on that a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, because in a world where we are all so obsessed with, optimizing our really expensive vacation days.
Oh, sure.
Where we literally map out our hour-by-hour itineraries on spreadsheets.
Right.
Isn't walking without an agenda actually the hardest psychological task for a modern traveler to pull off.
Oh, I totally agree. It is a massive psychological hurdle.
Right.
We are heavily conditioned by the travel industry to view downtime as wasted time. If you aren't at a monument, you're failing.
Yes, exactly.
But if you look at the historical function of riverside promenades like the South Bank,
Yeah.
they were never actually designed for transit.
Okay, what were they designed for?
They were designed for friction. They were the ultimate social equalizers.
Oh.
Historically, a promenade was the one place where the wealthy merchant class and the working class shared the exact same real estate for the exact same purpose.
Which was just to hang out.
Basically,
Yeah.
to see and be seen. So when you let go of your itinerary and just sit on a bench there today, you aren't wasting time.
You're doing what the space was built for.
Exactly. You are participating in an ancient urban mechanism. You are allowing the city to happen to you rather than trying to force it into a schedule.
That's a great perspective. But I will say, once you hit that threshold of sensory overload,
Because it does get loud.
it really does.
Mhm.
Once you've had your fill of that communal energy by the river, London offers this immediate mechanical antidote. You
Right.
just head west on the underground. And the moment you step out of the tube station in Notting Hill, the landscape shifts so dramatically that the pace of your own walking naturally drops.
It's like night and day.
It is. You leave behind that heavy gray stone and the rushing water of the center, and you emerge into these incredibly quiet tree-lined streets, famous for their pastel-painted townhouses.
And the mechanism behind those colors is actually a brilliant piece of local history.
Yeah, it's not just a design choice.
No, not at all. Those soft pinks, blues, creams, and yellows aren't just some quirky design choice engineered for modern social media.
Though they definitely look great on an Instagram feed.
Oh, they absolutely do. But following the Second World War, that specific area was known for bleak, smog-stained, deteriorating housing.
It was pretty grim.
Very grim. But when the Windrush generation arrived from the Caribbean in the 1950s, they moved into these affordable areas and they brought their culture with them.
Right.
Painting the houses in vibrant, bright pastels was a direct visual rebellion against that drab, gray, post-war London aesthetic.
It was a physical reclamation of their space.
Exactly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because that exact vibrancy, that cultural rebellion, is what later made the area incredibly desirable. It sparked the massive wave of gentrification that we see there today. It went from a marginalized immigrant neighborhood to one of the wealthiest postcodes in the world.
It's quite a transformation.
It is. And you can feel that really complex history when you walk down into Portobello Road Market.
Oh, definitely.
We always hear about London being this hyper-fast global banking hub, but Portobello Road completely subverts that expectation. It operates like an interactive physical museum of local history.
I like to call it tactile history.
Tactile history, yeah.
Because you transition from observing architecture on a macro level, like staring up at buildings, to examining incredibly intricate objects on a micro level.
Right. You walk past a stall selling, antique maritime maps. And right next to it is a table just piled high with silver pocket watches.
Or across the street, a rack of vintage 1970s punk leather jackets.
Yes. And you're not just looking at artifacts safely locked away behind museum glass. You can actually pick them up.
You can interact with them.
Yeah, you can feel the weight of an old brass compass in your hand. You can talk to the vendor who has, dedicated 30 years to understanding the hallmarks on antique silver.
The antiques trade there is such a fascinating study in how objects migrate across eras and class lines.
How so?
Well, think about a silver teapot that once lived in an aristocratic drawing room in Mayfair, say, in the 1890s.
Okay, very fancy.
Right. But it eventually finds its way to a wooden trestle table on Portobello Road, just waiting to be purchased by, a college student from Tokyo.
That's a great point. It democratizes the history.
It does. Travel isn't always about standing at the base of a giant monument feeling small. Often, the truest connection you can make to a culture is understanding what ordinary objects previous generations chose to preserve.
And what they chose to throw away.
Exactly.
But I will say, after a few hours of looking down at those micro details, after focusing on vintage jewelry and tiny text on old maps, your eyes do need a break.
They definitely do. You get tunnel vision.
Yeah, you need to understand the physical sprawl of the city you're standing in. And to do that, you have to completely leave the west and head far east to a place called Greenwich.
Greenwich, which operates almost entirely independently from the rest of the city.
It really feels that way.
It's geographically and culturally distinct. It feels much more like a self-contained maritime village than a slice of a major global capital.
Yeah, you step off the train and you are just surrounded by these immaculate classical buildings with the Thames wrapping right around the peninsula.
Hmm?
But the real mechanical function of visiting Greenwich isn't just the village itself, it's the climb.
The hill.
Yes, you walk up this long, sweeping hill through Greenwich Park, heading toward the Royal Observatory. And when you reach the top, you turn around and you finally see the whole board.
It's spectacular.
It's like hitting the zoom out button on your camera. Suddenly, the entire London skyline is just stretched across the horizon.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, what you are actually looking at from that hill is a physical clash of two very different empires.
Two empires. Okay, break that down.
Well, in the immediate foreground, right at the bottom of the hill, you have the old Royal Naval College.
Which is gorgeous.
It is, and that represents the historical maritime empire. It's the physical remnant of an era when London's wealth and power were entirely dependent on naval shipping, docks, and global trade routes.
Ships coming in and out.
Right.
And then right behind it, just dominating the skyline.
Yes, directly behind that centuries-old stone, rising up across the river and in Canary Wharf, you have these jagged, hyper-modern glass skyscrapers.
It's almost jarring.
It is, and that is the new empire, global finance.
Wow.
The architectural tension from that viewpoint is staggering. You aren't just getting a nice panoramic photo for your trip.
Right.
You are standing on a hill looking at London's economic engine evolving in real time. The maritime past sits literally in the shadow of the financial future.
So what does this all mean for the person actually boots on the ground trying to navigate this?
That's the real question.
Because having a grand sweeping perspective of architectural tension and economic history is intellectually thrilling.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, a traveler still has to eat and sleep.
They certainly do.
And doing that in a city with a reputation for being aggressively expensive requires some practical strategy.
It definitely requires an understanding of how local Londoners actually sustain themselves.
Right.
If you try to eat every single meal in the shadow of a major tourist attraction, you will encounter inflated prices and, frankly, diluted quality.
Yeah, the tourist traps.
Exactly. The mechanical solution is to pivot to the neighborhoods.
Which means wandering into places like Soho for lunch. You find these narrow side streets packed with independent cafes, family-owned Italian bistros that have somehow survived for decades.
The really authentic spots.
Yeah, and tiny little bakeries.
Oh.
Or you head up to Marylebone to grab fresh seasonal dishes.
But if we are talking about actual sustenance in London, we have to talk about the pub culture.
Oh, without a doubt.
Finding a local neighborhood pub for a pint, some fish and chips, a massive slice of shepherd's pie, or, a Sunday roast.
Well, those dense, heavy meals are deeply rooted in the city's industrial past. Right. You see a menu with sticky toffee pudding or warm scones with thick clotted cream, and you realize this isn't just about indulgence.
No, it was survival.
Exactly. These meals were historically designed as highly caloric fuel for laborers working long, physically demanding shifts in a really damp, freezing climate.
It makes perfect sense when you think about the weather.
Yeah. And today, they serve a similar, albeit less grueling function for the traveler. They're grounding. But there is one culinary tradition I want to ask you about.
Okay, what is it?
Afternoon tea.
Ah, yes.
The general advice is that whether you go to an elegant hotel or just a simple local spot, it's less about the food and more about taking time to slow down. But I've always wondered, is it really about the food at all? Or is afternoon tea just a socially acceptable excuse to hit the pause button on a stressful day?
Like a structured break.
Yeah, like we are too busy to just stop and sit, so we invented an entirely new meal just to force ourselves to sit down.
Well, it certainly functions that way today, but originally it was a purely mechanical solution to a very specific class problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the 1840s, the British aristocracy started dining later and later, sometimes not until 8 or 9 at night, thanks to the advent of artificial lighting.
Okay.
The Duchess of Bedford famously complained of experiencing a sinking feeling in the late afternoon.
A sinking feeling. That's just being hangry.
Exactly, she was hungry. So tea, bread, and butter were introduced simply to bridge that massive caloric gap between a light lunch and a very late dinner.
So it was literally just a snack to stop the aristocracy from passing out before 8 p.m.
Precisely. That's all it was. And today, as a traveler, you are essentially co-opting an aristocratic calorie bridge just to survive describe the sheer physical fatigue of navigating a sprawling metropolis.
I love that. An aristocratic calorie bridge.
Right. In a city that moves as relentlessly as London, carving out an hour where the only social requirement is to sip a hot beverage is a brilliant mechanism for stress relief.
It really is.
Yes.
Which brings us to the ultimate logistical challenge.
Where to sleep.
Where do you sleep? How do you stay in this massive, sprawling city without completely emptying your bank account?
It's the biggest expense.
By far. And the strategic move here is all about leveraging the city's infrastructure. You look at neighborhoods like Paddington, which gives you immediate heavy rail transport links to the rest of the country.
Very practical.
Or you look at South Kensington if you prioritize proximity to the major museums and want quiet residential evenings. Or King's Cross, which, used to be notoriously rough, but is now this incredible hub of renovated value and rapid transit.
And the underlying mechanism that makes staying outside the hyper-expensive center possible is, of course, the London Underground.
The Tube. It acts like an urban circulatory system.
That's a great analogy.
You don't have to pay a massive premium to sleep right in the heart of the city. You can stay out in the extremities, and the circulatory system will pump you straight into the center in 20 minutes. It completely changes how you book a hotel. It's like going to a theater and choosing to sit in the audience rather than insisting on standing right on the stage.
Oh, I like that.
Because if you stay on the stage right in Leicester Square or Piccadilly Circus, you actually can't see the real show.
You're too close to it.
Yeah, you just get blinded by the bright lights and the crowds.
Yeah.
Staying further out in a place like King's Cross gives you a much better vantage point of the authentic, everyday life of the city.
Well, and the logistics of the Underground actually dictated the physical expansion of London in the first place.
How so?
When they figured out how to safely tunnel through the deep London clay in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it allowed the creation of what they called Metroland.
Metroland.
Yeah, these vast suburbs where ordinary people could live in quiet, affordable homes and then commute into the chaotic center for work.
Okay, so it created the modern commute.
Exactly. So when you choose to stay in a slightly farther out neighborhood and take the tube in every morning, you are actually tracing the exact historical lines of London's middle-class expansion.
You're living the history.
You are. You get the quiet authenticity of the residential streets without sacrificing the connectivity to the major sites.
It is the ultimate travel hack. You tailor your environment to your energy levels. And as our journey through this specific script comes to a close, it leaves us with this incredibly evocative final image.
It really does.
It asks us to return once more to the River Thames, but this time as the afternoon fades into evening.
The magic hour.
Yeah, you find a bench along the water and you just watch the mechanics of the city shift gears. The bridges begin to light up one by one.
Such a great visual.
The commuter boats glide quietly across the dark water. And there's a massive demographic shift happening right in front of you. The rushed, stressed office workers carrying briefcases disappear.
They all go home.
Right. And they're replaced by evening runners, couples walking dogs, and people just enjoying the cooler air.
The entire tempo of the metropolis drops by half.
You can feel it exhale.
It's a complete atmospheric reset, driven entirely by the setting of the sun and the end of the corporate workday.
It's the perfect capstone to the day. Now, this is only part 2 of the exploration, and there's a teaser for part 3 coming up next in the source material, promising a look into London's hidden gardens, its historic muse, and one final, closely guarded local secret.
Which will undoubtedly provide another layer of complexity to how the city functions.
Absolutely. But for you, the listener, the learner, the real takeaway from a deep dive like this isn't just memorizing the history of pastel paint in Notting Hill.
Right.
Or, knowing to look at Canary Wharf from Greenwich Park. It's about changing your fundamental philosophy of observation.
It's a mindset shift.
Yeah, it's training your brain to look past the monumental facades and seek out the mechanical realities of a place. How does it eat? How does it commute? Where does it go to breathe?
And this raises an important question, building on a really subtle claim made at the very end of our text today.
Oh, the sunset thing.
Yes. The author notes that cities often reveal their true personality after sunset. So, if we apply everything we've discussed today to that idea, if a city's daytime is its resume, the polished, highly productive, bustling version it presents to the global market, complete with shiny glass towers and crowded monuments.
Right, the version it wants you to see.
Exactly. If the day is the resume, is it's nighttime, it's diary.
Oh, wow.
Is the evening the only time the city drops the facade and reveals who it truly is? When all the business deals are done and the tourists are finally asleep?
I love that. The daytime resume versus the nighttime diary.
It changes how you see a place.
Yeah.
So I would challenge you, the listener, to test this mechanical theory yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't need a plane ticket to London to do it. Take a walk through your own hometown tonight. Go without an itinerary.
Walk without an agenda.
Exactly. Step out when the sun goes down, leave the bustling commercial center behind, and see what hidden personality emerges from your own streets in the dark.
Because if the daytime city is the bold, all caps heading in the history book, that nighttime diary, well, that's the scribble in the margins.
Beautifully said.
And as we've learned today, whether you are on the banks of the Thames or just in your own neighborhood, the margins are where the actual life happens.